Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. We got to talk about The Amazing Race 32, episode 4.
Yes, episode 4. We did not get an episode 5, but yay, episode 4.
I know.
But first, if you're new to this channel, if you are on Twitch, please follow. If you're on YouTube, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And one last thing, if you want to support us on Patreon, you can find the link in the description.
Also, one last thing. I'm going to steal that from you because it's not the last thing. Speaking of Patreon, new month, anniversaries.
Boom.
Hey,
who do we got? We got
new 1 year. Not new. We got 1 year people celebrating.
Yeah. People who have been with us for a whole year now. You guys are our favorites until we get to the 2-year mark. And then people who have been with us for 2 years will be our favorites.
I can't imagine that is even a thing. So thank you so much, Maria.
Yes, and Patty.
And Joseph. You guys,
shout outs to you three.
Your support.
Yes, thank you
very much.
November
babies.
That's right.
November babies.
So our second episode got preempted because I don't know, something's going on in the country.
There's something going on in the country, but we are not talking about that because this is a distraction video. This is what we do over here.
Yeah, we're overseas for the Amazing Race. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Week 4, we are going to start this Amazing Race episode on a boat because they're leaving the Amazon. They're all going to catch a flight to Paraguay. But first, on this boat, this is the first time we're seeing each other.
It's like a lot of this, you know, like
a lot of like,
hi, and then a lot of like, we're here, we are still here, right?
Us, you guys, what?
Oh, sorry, I have. Sorry, I'll be with you in a second. Like they're avoiding any kind of confrontation, you know.
Oh, some good awkward stuff. Thank you for sharing that with us. And then they go to the airport, and like a smart team, you got to start like using computers, stealing someone's phone. Like anytime you can do some research, you got to do it.
Yes, right. They are, seeing the Wi-Fi symbol at the airport, and they're leaving Brazil. They're on their way to Paraguay. And I believe it's James who is kind of spearheading this effort to print maps of Paraguay.
Yeah.
And he's there with, I think, the McKibbins, the Beard Bros, they call them, the football players, D'Angelo and Gary. But the South Carolina sisters are also there, and they're not in the alliance. And we got to figure out a way to print these, distract them, so we can print these for the alliance, but not give them to the sisters. Yeah. Lots of sneaky strategy
working together, being super sneaky. Yep. Then, though, when we leave the airport, it's just like, that's what it's like.
Yeah, it's a race, the taxi race, right? I want to bring up 2 things before we speed into this taxi race. Number 1, I forget if it's Riley or Madison McKibbin, but they're talking about like, we play beach volleyball. And it's a double elimination format. And so in beach volleyball, if you make a mistake, you get another chance to redeem yourself. But in an Amazing Race, like if you're the last team, you're probably going to be out. And I'm like, well, that is the heaviest handed foreshadowing I've ever seen, that this is a non-elimination leg. Thank you. Okay, great. So no one's going home this episode. And then I also loved Vic and Michelle. I am just eating up everything that Victoria and Michelle are giving us this season.
Yes.
They're in the cab and they're like, where is Paraguay? Is that in Africa? I know that Uruguay is in Africa, but where's Paraguay? And I'm like, it's Uganda that's in Africa, but you're just working it out. It doesn't matter. You're just getting on the plane with your ticket and you're going to go, and it's all good. Don't worry about it.
This is why you just don't talk about geography.
If you don't know, just don't say anything.
Most of us don't. I am just as confused as these races. Every season there is at least one team that's like, I don't know where I am or where I'm going. What continent am I on? Like, and I feel you. I'm horrible at geography, but I just don't want to talk about it and make it obvious since I'm on The Amazing Race and I'm going to that country. But
or like do it sound obviously stupid on purpose to throw teams off. Like, oh, Sarah's not a threat. She thinks, she thinks Brazil is in Australia.
Paraguay's in Canada. Okay. I'm pretty sure.
Yes. But we land in Paraguay, taxi race. They're all, telling their cab drivers, like, we're in a race, let's go. And, we are getting some taxi troubles here. I think Will and James,
you know where we're going? Do you know where it is? No. Okay, peace out. We're leaving. We're getting another cab.
Right. And Leo and Alana are noticing Will and James with taxi trouble. And they're like, well, we're not going to help you with your taxi. We're saying that we're not 100% upset that you're having taxi trouble here.
Nope. Not upset when they see anything like that happen. So Michelle and Vic do end up switching taxis. But then we see the McKibben brothers and Ishwar and Aparna. They arrive first.
They are the leaders to the Roadblock. Yes. So the Roadblock is this like landfill harmonica, like a symphony of instruments made from trash, and they have to make a cello. Again, another detail challenge. And this one is
this. David, do you love this as much as I do?
Yes, I would have been. I just was like so touched by the performance aspect of it. Like, this show is just so well produced. They like think of everything, but to have them like create it and then hand it over, and the kid plays it right there, and like they get that moment with those children. So sweet.
Hung didn't even do the challenge. She's just standing there waiting, and she's getting all emotional. And I'm like, girl, I feel you. Like, this is so lovely. Like, I want to support the arts anywhere and everywhere I can. If you can't afford instruments, let's figure out how to make them. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's super awesome. Yeah. But some people are more cut out for building a cello than others. And we learn again that the engineer thing is not really helping Ishwar and Aparna out with building things.
I did feel like
Seth. Sorry, Seth. Is harmonica in Africa?
Look, I got one somewhere around here. I'll play it for you. Because they think it's musical, they're picking their most musical person, I think, at this point, and that's not necessarily the case. You need to be able to build and put something together.
For
sure. So yes, even though, wait, is this where James is asking 1,000 questions? Yes, it is. Okay. That's the note I have.
Because the alliance is there. And so they're all working together. And Leo's not part of the alliance. But James is like, he's there with Chi. He's there with D'Angelo. He's there with Madison, Ishwar. They're all helping each other. And Leo's kind of there, just working away.
Now, I think this is editing, but they made it look like James had 1,000 questions. And that everyone was helping him. And then later, it didn't seem like anybody was helping other people who might be still there a long time later. Like Madison.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, Madison does not seem to be benefiting from all of these questions.
Anyone helping Madison? Because the McKibbens help everyone more than anybody. Like, they're the most helpful team.
Yeah.
And then it looked like they were getting no help. But I have to imagine that was editing.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
The South Carolina sisters and Michelle and Victoria are having kind of the most taxi trouble, it seems, especially the South Carolina sister. This is where they hit the street closure. Their driver's like, we can't go. And we're far away. We're still, there's like the language barrier. They're like, are we close? She's like, no, we're like really far. It's like very far away.
Yeah.
And then they take a turn and they're just in a neighborhood, and she's out of the driver's out of the car, going door to door. Hey, where am I? How do I get there? And the sisters are just in there like, we don't know what to do, but this is bad. This is really bad.
It was, but they were so adorable and so entertaining. Like, just counting, like going through the whole thing. They're like, okay, and now she's out of the car and we are in this is awful. No.
This is not it. And this is not the right place.
There. Like, I loved them during this whole thing, but I was like, this is truly a nightmare. This is so frustrating. What do you do in that moment? You are just,
I mean, yeah, you're along for the ride at that point, you know, like you're not getting out of the taxi and then trying to find another taxi in whatever neighborhood you're in. You're looking around probably and you're thinking, this is fully residential at this point, and we're not going to find another cab. So we've hitched our wagon to this lady. So hopefully she can get us there.
Yeah, I mean, good on her for like knocking on a door and trying to figure it out, but it's so stressful. And it also just didn't feel like the safest area because we have like two taxis of two female teams in a foreign country, and they do not know where they are, and it just doesn't feel like the safest area to like jump out of their cab randomly and try to figure out where they are.
No, exactly.
This is how I was watching that section. I was like,
yeah, I know.
But eventually they do find their place.
They do. Yes. Michelle's there first out of these two groups of two females. Michelle gets to the cello challenge, and she's just like, honestly, she is a casting director's dream. Like, she just like throws the cello over her shoulder and she's like, all right, I was in the symphony. Like, let me build this cello. Like, she's just so entertaining, Michelle.
Yes.
I'm loving it.
Loving it. Okay. So D'Angelo is actually the person who makes his cello and gets out of this first.
This was like shockingly faster than anybody else. Like it's I'm not saying like, oh wow, D'Angelo, like shocked that he specifically completed it, but the speed at which he completed it, I think he only tried once, right? And he had it done.
Yeah.
And everyone else had to try multiple times. And I just would not have predicted that D'Angelo was the one who's like, building the perfect cello in one try.
Right, because Cheese over here being like, I know the string is like, he sounds like he knows what he's doing. He's giving out tips to other people, and then D'Angelo just like whips through, and he's like, no, I got it, guys, don't worry about it. And then we see the first time like the little kid plays it, and it's all very cute.
So cute.
Then James, Mr. 1,000 Questions, actually does get out second. Stop helping each other.
Yes, right. He's like getting teary when he's watching the symphony. So we've got another tally on our James cry count here.
And he was like, he had to get a hug from Will. It was like all encompassing, like an emotional moment, which actually was very, very sweet. And everybody's like supportive and clapping at this point. They're like, instrument, kids playing. Yes.
Right. And then we've got, so James is out second, and then Cheese out third, Leo's out fourth. Meanwhile, finally, Kaylin arrives at the cello thing. So now we do have, at this point, like all of the teams have at least arrived at the cello challenge, and they're all kind of working on it as these kind of first four finishers are on to the next part of the race, which is another yield, which again kind of turns into nothing. Like it's interesting how they're all avoiding the yield right now, and they're just like, we're moving on. We're not even touching that yet.
The only possibility for a yield was going to be Leo and Alana yielding Will and James, but Will and James were ahead of them, so they don't have that choice.
Right.
So that was going to be it, and we didn't get it. So no yielding. But we do start to see that Madison, who showed up first to all of this, is like straight struggling on this cello, like cannot get it.
I mean, 4 teams now have passed him. Ishwar is still there working with him. They're both kind of struggling with this, but we're starting to get the like timestamp on their challenge, right? So like Madison's there for an hour, and then he's there for an hour 45, and it's like, oh, how long is this going to take you? And he's like feeling the pressure of, crap, I was here first, and Riley's out there like, what's taking so long? Like, all these teams are passing us.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so while we've got those last stragglers over there figuring stuff out, after we do not yield anybody, we have this national drink that we're making.
Yep.
It's pretty simple.
Seems delicious. Yep.
Yeah, they loved it. I wanted to know if it had alcohol in it. It didn't seem like it.
I know. I would have been like, can you just give me one of those like tiny bottles and I'll just add it?
Do you have a little rum? How do we
it's my secret ingredient, you know?
Yeah. A little better with that. Easy thing, make the drink. And then they head over to the Detour, which they're calling this the first ever switchback.
Yeah, I don't know why, but whenever they said switchback in this episode, I wanted to go whoosh.
Oh.
Like, I don't know why, but I was like, I wish there was like that sound effect with the switchback, you know? And like a masked man with a whip, like whoosh, every time they said, I don't know where this is coming from.
Is he an angry masked man? Or is this like Three Amigos? What are we doing?
You know, just to clarify, I was thinking an eye mask, not a face mask. Not that I'm an anti-face mask person.
No,
we're not getting into it, but
we support all the masks that protect you.
Yes.
I support a face mask when you're feeling dehydrated, moisturized. Yes.
A nice evening in, relaxing, a little at-home spa moment. I'm in favor of that. Yes.
Look, and if you have a whip, whatever. We don't judge. Okay.
Whatever floats your boat, toots your tooter.
For the amazing race, though, we are either stacking watermelons or we're balancing the bottles on our head. This is from season 20.
Yes, right. So they're both challenges that have happened before. And season 20 has some people that have appeared again on the show. All Stars, right? We had Art and JJ that season. We just saw in this most recent season of All Stars, which was fun.
And Rachel Riley, which some of you know from Big Brother as well. She was with Brendan, her now husband. They raced that season. And okay. So this is interesting. I mean, they both seem like challenging tasks. Personally, I don't want to do either.
Agreed. Yeah. One of them is just like hard labor, you know, moving and stacking these watermelons. And the other one is like very precision, slow and steady. It really tests your patience and your willingness to like stick with something that seems like it should be easy, but is actually incredibly difficult. And of course, the producers are loving showing us this flashback footage of all the bottles breaking and all of the watermelons falling. And it's just like, we've cooked up this thing for these people and they're not going to like it. And that's good for us.
Yes, it is. They even cooked up footage of Will and James practicing this.
Yeah.
Because they watched all the seasons and they were like, oh, we should practice. And of course, I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, show me that footage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
More people practicing things, actually. That's pretty cool.
It seems like the bottles are a bit more popular in terms of what people are picking. We see Gary and D'Angelo go for the melons right away because they're like big guys. I think they're like, oh, we'll just like toss the melons like a football. Who cares? But we do see James and Will, Hung and Chi, and Leo and Alana all go for the bottles. So that's sort of where people are at.
Yeah, I think I would go for the bottles too, because those watermelons are heavy and you're stacking forever. But gosh, the bottles just seem so difficult. We see Will and James practicing forever. We see Hung and Chi show up, they practice. Leo and Alana are practicing forever. Hung and Chi get to the point where they don't feel like Chi's ever gonna. No, it was Hung that wasn't gonna get it. She was like, I don't think that you're gonna get this. Let's switch tasks.
That I was like not thrilled to see. I was just like, oh boy, like we're in a switching detour moment. Like this doesn't always work out. But you know, I think that it's not like they were there for hours and teams were kind of getting in and out and they were still there. And then, you know, teams who were far behind them are showing up. They're still kind of in the mix with these people. So I think they were just like, I don't know if this is in the cards. I don't know if Hung has an irregularly shaped head or what, but she was convinced like this is not my truth. And so we got to go. We're doing the melon.
Look, we get nervous when people switch their challenges, their tasks, but the fact that they made a pretty quick decision, that they kind of seemed like they were on it, like we're assessing this, don't think it's for us, let's move on. I was supportive of it because I'm like, Hung and Chi, you guys are good at like a, you know, cog in the system type task. Like, give me that watermelon, let me stack it. Like they're very good at that kind of stuff, even though they don't seem like the physically strongest. They're very good at that stuff. So I was like, go for it, do it, get on it.
Switch it. So now,
are they just the second people, or were the football or not? McKibben's there yet.
McKibben's, I don't recall. I think Hung and Chi switched after the McKibbens had gone to do the melon, because I was going to say back at the cello challenge, the McKibbens finally get through. I think it was like I said, about an hour 45 that it took Madison to get through that. And then Michelle is also there for like over an hour, but she's made up a little bit of time here and she's through the cello. And so the McKibbens are onto the melons. This is when we see Hung and Chi switch to the melons. And then Michelle and Victoria show up to the bottles. Again, Michelle like watching the demo and she's like, are those lunges? Like she's just a reaction queen. I'm loving her so much. She
is. So much fun to watch them practicing and getting this. So the football players obviously got to the watermelons first. They've been working on stacking the watermelons. They're strong guys. So they are like almost done with this. And it starts to fall apart. This is when they start to lose the melons. The melons are falling. They're crashing, smashing.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the different strategies at the melons, because I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but Gary and D'Angelo were very much like kind of building a structure, like all four sides of this pyramid. Whereas the McKibbens were like starting with a solid wall, or, you know, maybe as Gary would call it, a roof on one side, and then kind of like building out that one side so that, you know, they're each kind of like just trying to figure out the best way to do this. Hung and Chi, meanwhile, just aren't talking enough. They are just not.
Well, this
he's a little bit too cerebral in his head. Like, I'm going to figure this out. And Hung is like barely peeking over the edge of the truck. And she's like, Chi, you have to talk to me. You have to talk to me. We've talked. Chi. So cute.
We are working together. This felt like a bigger relationship conversation that they have been through before. And she was like, remember when I said that you need to communicate? And he's so great at like, yes. He's like reminding himself. He's like, yes, I need to talk more. I have to tell her the things in my head. Like, it was so cute. He's like, I've been here before. I have heard this before. I'm going to do that thing she is requesting of me. But they were also very good at being like, okay, it looks like the base faces this way, and then they turn them this way. This is why Hung and Chi are so good, is because they were like, how do you stack this?
Yeah,
this is what it looks like. I don't believe Gary and D'Angelo did that. They just piled them on.
They just were like, it was like a brute force situation with Gary and D'Angelo. And I think it required a little bit more finesse than they were ready to give it in that moment. Yeah.
There was a time when D'Angelo said, should we switch?
Yeah.
And thank goodness for Gary.
No. Yeah. Gary was like, no, what are you talking about? Like, no, we are not going to the other one. We can stack these watermelons. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah. They've we didn't get a time at this point, but they had probably been there for a couple hours. Like, that was insane to switch at that point.
Now, at this point, we're kind of figuring out the bottles are easier. As tedious as it is, and as many shattered bottles as we've seen, like, it's so great to like have these prop glass bottles that the second they touch anything, they just fall to pieces, you know? So every time a bottle falls off someone's head, it's shattering. The water is splattering. Hello, Will and James.
Hi, guys. For joining us.
And they finished the bottles first, and their celebration dance just brought me the most joy. Like, Will is whipping his head around. They're spinning in circles. It's so good.
The whole thing. I'm so glad you guys are here for this point, because the form, the grace, the beauty, as they are just like in their last moves, they're coming down, and then the Superman, and then they're coming up, and then they're like, yes, we did it. I was like, gorgeous.
And James is like kind of the star a little bit here out of the two of them, because Will is so focused on like, I'm a dancer, I've got a spot, and so like, you're reteaching me how to walk here, I don't know how to do this. And James, I just like loved watching him in this moment, because like, as he's doing the like Superman thing, he's just like laser focused, and then he's getting up so carefully with the bottle on his head. It just was so funny to watch this.
I gave extra style points. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I also gave style points to Michelle and Vic. I thought they were just graceful as well.
I mean, it looked like they just the buns maybe on the top of their head was like a little bit of balance for the bottle or something, but they got through it very quickly. And so Will and James are first out of the whole detour. Michelle and Victoria are second out of the whole detour, and those are our first two teams to the mat. So second first place finish in a row for Will and James. Congratulations. They get $5,000 each. And they're like, yes, money. Thank you very much. We'll take it.
Don't have to wait for travel to open back up.
Yeah. And Michelle and Victoria are like, we're second? What? They cannot believe that they've made up so much time.
Yeah, they were like driving around in a cab that didn't know where they were going. And they were like, wait, how did we get here? But they were great at that balancing that bottle.
So good.
The dance, the Superman, the lunges, all of it.
Now, finally, Ishwar finishes the cello.
Oh, right.
We're left with Ishwar. There. I know we're still at the cello. So Ishwar and
when
Kaylin.
When it's found an Ishwar and a Kaylin, this is when it gets painful. You're just like, oh no. It seemed like every string was snapping for poor Ishwar. Oh my God.
And we're seeing their partners out there. Like Aparna's like, how is this possible? Like, is he still in there? Did I miss him leaving? You know, they're just like really despondent, these final two teams. But Ishwar does finish, which leaves Kaylin by herself. And I gotta give her props for, like, we talked, I think, in our last video about their sunny disposition. And she's very much like, congrats, I'll just be here. Like, wish me luck. I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna keep trying, you know, and he's off. And she's just like, I gotta do it. I gotta do this for Haley. You know, I can't give up.
Yes. So I love these two girls. Yes, I have not seen them break yet. Like, this was a rough day for them. And not once were they like throwing things or getting frustrated. They were like, let's get it done. Let's go. Yeah. They're so precious, so adorable. And I was really feeling for Kaylin in this moment. Okay, so they're going to eventually catch up. And we are... the McKibbins are stacking watermelons. The Hung and Chi finally get the watermelons. Who gets them first? McKibbins or Hung and Chi?
McKibbins get the watermelons before Hung and Chi, but Leo and Alana get the bottles before the McKibbins finish the watermelons. So it's Leo and Alana who are third to the mat after they finish the bottle challenge.
Yes.
Everybody who finishes the bottle challenge, their celebration is amazing. Like, you can just tell, like, they've been so tense this whole time trying to balance this thing on their head. And so when they can finally just like throw their bodies around, they're just ready to like jump up and down. And it's so cool to see them like so happy to be done with this thing.
Yes. And hugging the dancer girls and stuff. Very, very cool to see. Yeah. It's definitely more fun to watch the bottle balancing because it's so exciting and they're doing some fun movements. The watermelon thing is just stressful. You're either like fighting, you eventually get it, or if you're the football players, you are still working on it. And it's almost 4 hours of stacking watermelons that are falling. And I can only imagine what that's doing to you.
It's like the more we go in this episode, the more your heart is just falling for the South Carolina sisters and for the football players here, right? Because what's interesting, okay, so just to keep us in order, Leo and Alana are third to the mat, right? Very exciting. They were in like 7th place last time.
That's moving up for them.
Exactly. McKibbins are 4th place, but Ishwar and Aparna, who were out of the cello 7th, go into the bottles, and like no other teams are left there because when they're going in, Leo and Alana are leaving, and they tell them like there's nobody else there, and they're like, crap, like I guess we'll just do it. But Ishwar and Aparna flew through the bottle thing. I didn't know how
we're always like, okay, editing, like this team struggled for 1,000 years and this team just like swoops in. But this one, obviously they did just swoop in. They went in, they were like, oh, we're great with balance. Let's go. And they did it. And because all of a sudden they're 5th on the mat, like what?
Yes. Before, before Hung and Chi, which is, granted Hung and Chi have switched, but it's very impressive that Ishwar had really struggled with the cello, and they made up a ton of time on this bottle challenge that specifically gave a lot of teams trouble. Like, that was awesome.
Incredible. So excited for them because, we were feeling for Ishwar earlier. So yes. Okay. So Hung and Chi eventually get out. So they come in 6th. Did we just say that? So we are left with Gary and D'Angelo struggling, and Kaylin and Haley finally, they get to the bottle
The way this was edited too, Kaylin didn't leave the cello until after 4 teams had found the pit stop.
Yeah.
So, who knows what the actual timing was, but the editing is brutal here of like, 4 teams are already completely done with this leg.
Yeah.
And you have just listened to this like lovely symphony, which I'm sure at this point you're like, could we do like a half performance here? Because I just go.
Kids, I get it. You play music. I got to go. I'm racing. But then when we see the girls, all of a sudden it's nighttime and I'm like, oh shoot. Whenever one team, it's darker than the other team, I know it's editing.
Yeah.
But then we flip back to the football players and now it's dark over there. So I'm like, oh no, they really are. It's nighttime now.
They are having such a hard time, the football players. They're at like 3 hours and 45 minutes with the watermelons.
God, oh my
If
God.
I had to look at a stack of watermelons for 45 minutes and 3 hours, did I say just 45 minutes?
You did. I mean, just 45 minutes, I'd lose my mind. You're right, David.
Yeah.
Just 45 minutes.
But
no, it was
3 hours.
3:45. But like physically stacking them, you're exhausted, and then they just keep falling. So you're like putting them back. That is like probably a thing you do to make people go insane, right? Like, do something and we'll knock it down over and over again, and you just like lose your mind.
And the sisters are kind of, they're at the bottles and they're like, well, hopefully someone else is stuck at the watermelons. And Gary and D'Angelo are fully like, we're out. This is it. We cannot believe that we blew it this hard on the watermelon challenge. And this is our last leg. So again, with the editing, like they make it seem closer than it is because we do not see them on the mat together at the end of the episode. No. So like it wasn't that close. But Gary and D'Angelo, run up in 7th place. We know they're 7th. They think they're last. Phil says like 3 words and D'Angelo's already given his goodbye speech.
Yep. He's like, look, it was a hard day. We did what we could. And, just every leg's not going to be our leg. And he's like, telling them thanks for the race. It was an amazing
race. Thank you so much. Yeah.
But we'll be on our way now. Thank you. And he's like, hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did have a rough day. He's like, but you're team number 7. And they're like, what?
What? How is this possible? It's that's how it is on this show. We've seen it so many times where you think it's over, but you just can't give up because it's not over until Phil tells you it's over. And Phil is not telling anybody it's over this episode because the South Carolina sisters show up both beaming and Phil's like, wow, nothing gets you down. And they're like, you know what? God, what a day we have had. Like, can we have some coffee and we'll tell you everything, Phil? And he's like, well, you got to keep racing because it's a non-elimination leg. And they're like, what? Oh my God.
Okay, great. I mean, seriously, I have never seen 2 people on the race just be like, wow, well, we did the best we could. Like, we tried.
That cello, that really got us, And the cab driver, like, oh man, we got some stories. They were like, just like, boxes of giggles at the end of this very difficult day for them. Like,
seriously. Love them. So I was so grateful it was a non-elimination leg for them. I give them another chance. Obviously, they're going to have a speed bump.
Right.
And it will be a little extra difficult in the next leg for them. That's something they'll have to accomplish. But at least they're still in the race.
Yeah, very fun. And then the episode just ends very abruptly. There's I don't even think there were credits, because I was this was obviously a last minute preemption.
Right. We were ready for
supposed to roll right into the next leg, but it's a quick commercial of like next week we're in Paris. Tune in for another new amazing race. So that's kind of where we are.
Yes. Well, it was really rough to see the football players and the South Carolina girls struggle so much. So glad they're still there and can't wait. Can't wait till next week. Now we're going to wait a whole week.
Do you think it's going to be a double next week? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be, but maybe they can shift some things around to make it happen. Or maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know.
Right. I guess we'll just have to see. But
what do I know?
Good stuff. Like, even if it's this, I don't think this was a disappointing non-elimination leg at all. Like, this, I did not leave feeling like, oh man, like Really, a non-elimination? Sometimes I am like, ugh, a non-elimination.
Right.
Like, okay, but this one is like
not usually the first one. The first one at leg 4, week 4, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If the next one is like leg 6, I'm gonna be like, okay, hold on, we just had one. That's when we both get a little like, really?
Yeah. Okay.
But we love this cast so much. I don't know if we'll be like that this year.
I know. And another thing that made this episode fun was just like, we've got some redemptions here. Michelle and Victoria in second, Leo and Alana in third. Yes. We saw Ishwar and Aparna kind of like bouncing all over the place from first to second to last to fifth. Like, it was just a lot of like, everybody was just out of sorts. Like, wait, we finished when? Like almost everybody in the race was like that. So a very fun episode.
It was kind of surprised that Riley and Madison struggled so much because they've been so strong. But
yeah, they might have taken note that nobody was helping them.
I think they were helping. Yeah, we'll have to ask how much helping was actually going on because I can't imagine they weren't helping each other. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's to say? Also, Leo tweeted out, I saw during the show that Leo was like, and by the way, we printed out a map too by ourselves just in the beginning.
We know to do that. Okay.
Okay. Sneaky people with your other maps, but also we did our own. So hopefully everyone made use of that computer and that internet.
Yes.
Got what they needed. Okay. Well.
All right.
That was our distraction for tonight, guys.
Sorry that it couldn't be longer.
Yeah.
We have 2 hours of amazing race and a double recap to do, but that means more amazing race to come, which is always good.
Okay. Slight schedule changing. David and I are taking a smidgen of time off.
It's been a while.
When you get out of Big Brother, you just sometimes you have to like take a minute.
Yeah,
is what's happening. So, no other recaps this week. I will be on Twitch though tomorrow and Friday.
Nice.
But the next time that we have David back is a week from tonight. For the next amazing race.
Yes. I'm very sorry to abandon you all. I just I need a few days with the fam. We got to check in. We got to make sure that mom and dad are like feeling good, feeling okay. Just a few days. And then I'll be back and we'll have more amazing race goodness for you.
Yes, exactly. Good pop. That's a good question, Ben. Jolene and I have been trying to talk about it, but she is actually also taking time off. See, I told you Big Brother does this to us. Yeah. She's going to Minnesota. So I don't know that Good Pop is happening soon, but Sight Unseen is coming back. So that's exciting.
People have been asking. People are burning up the comments section saying, where's Sight Unseen?
If you ask for it,
I haven't seen Sight Unseen in weeks, and I'm not happy. And it's making a big comeback, season 2.
Oh, Amy, Vacation Funds. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you. I'll get myself a little coffee for the road. Thank you, Amy.
Yes, right. I mean, without revealing all of David's deep, dark secrets, but we've been in quarantine since April, right? March or April? I forgot now.
2004. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But so David needs to check on his parents. It's been a long time. So we've been trapped in our homes.
Yeah.
One day I'd like to see my family as well. Okay. Oh, wait. No, Seth is one-upping Amy by 1 cent.
Whoa. Well, I think maybe I'll just fly with that kind of money.
Seriously.
On a plane. Wow.
Wait,
I'm going to fly private.
Go venti. What's the largest? Go super, Trenta, super large. Right? Trenta. Yeah. There you go.
I'll get like a gallon of coffee for my drive. This is perfect.
Yeah. No, Lindsay agrees. You can get a plane ticket for $10 now. So
truly. Yeah.
You're good to go. First class, maybe even. You guys are fun. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us live.
Yes. And if you're joining us later, leave us a comment. Let us know. Are you okay with this non-elimination leg? Yeah. Can you balance a bottle on your head?
Oh my gosh.
I don't think I can. And what's the third thing that we want to ask about this episode?
Are you mad that there wasn't a second?
Oh, yeah. How mad are you that it got preempted?
Can you balance a bottle on your head, but then do lunges and a Superman? I mean, that was a lot.
There was a lot. I'm tempted to try, but...
Okay, well, make sure you record it and let us know, okay?
Yeah, I will.
Right. All right, you guys, we'll see you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.